Here's my last 5 challenge, the books that I've loved, hated, DNF'd, and so much more. But first, it's Adore's birthday, and that's why she's here. So everybody give her a happy birthday in the comments, and let's get into it. Okay, you're beautiful. So the first category is the last 5-star book that I read, and that book was called The River of Doubt by Candice Millard. You've probably heard me rave about this already 100 times, and here's 101. It is an extraordinary historical narrative about Teddy Roosevelt's journey into the depths of the Amazon to reach the River of Doubt in the early 20th century. It's a beautiful book, a wonderful book, and great for history buffs of any kind. The next category is the last buddy read I had, and that one was with the lovely Dre Reads, and we read The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. And unfortunately, this category goes into the next category, which is what's the last book that I DNF'd, and it was this one, The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. Now, there's nothing wrong with this book. I actually was really enjoying it while I was reading it, but I couldn't commit to a fantasy book of that size with the slow pace that it had when I had all these other history books on my shelf that I wanted to read. And so this is just a soft DNF. I'm gonna go back to it eventually, but for now, it's a DNF. The next category is the last books that I was gifted, and those are these 2 books that I was gifted by my wife for our wedding anniversary. She gets it. The next category is what's the last book that made me cry? Honestly, no book has ever made me cry. Like literally none. But the last book that stuck with me to the point where I internalized it painfully was The Rape of Nanking by Iris Chong. It is a dark book, it's a brutal book, and it's one that stuck with me, and I read it over a year ago. And the final category is the last book that made me laugh. Now, I don't really read books that make you laugh out loud. I read a lot of nonfiction and history, so I'm usually reading something dark and gruesome, I guess, which I don't know what that tells you about me. But the last book that made me laugh was a book called Motherland by Julia Offee. And honestly, I can't really remember the reason why something made me laugh, but I remember specifically laughing out loud audibly at something absurd that I was reading. And usually when I'm laughing at a piece of nonfiction, it's because it's so wacky or so ridiculous, or I disagree with the idea. But off the top of my head, if I'm thinking about a book that made me laugh because it was a funny book, the last book I can really remember laughing at was Horizontal Life by Chelsea Handler, who I think is hilarious. If you haven't read any of her books, they're actually as funny as her stand-up because they're so self-deprecating. Thank you to Oklahoma Poet for the tag. This was a really fun challenge. I'm gonna tag a couple of you as well. Can't wait to see what you guys come up with, and I will see you in the comments.